We go to the phones. Joining us right now, Republican political strategist and also co-founder of UsReadTexas.com, Matt Mackowiak. Matt, good morning. How are you?
Hey, Chad. I'm doing great. Good morning.
Thanks for coming on today. A lot going on out there in the political world. Let's start off with the Democrats, though. The Wall Street Journal reporting today that Joe Biden is leaning towards jumping into the Democratic race. He met with Elizabeth Warren over the weekend. How big of a threat right now would Joe Biden be towards Hillary Clinton?
I think it's a big threat. I think you've seen in the media sort of analysis that says, well, it's too late. Hillary's got way too much support. There's no real path for Biden. There's even some talk that he would perhaps skip or not really compete in Iowa or New Hampshire, and he would really focus on South Carolina. I really think that's wrong. To me, Biden can kind of run a path that's right down the middle. He can run to Hillary's left as the rightful heir to the Obama legacy. He can do it as a sitting vice president, which means he'll get his phone calls returned. And he has I think a large well of goodwill. Over the last few months, as he's handled with great grace this terrible tragedy of his son dying from brain cancer. So I think it's a real risk, to Hillary. The email scandal shows no signs of being under control. In fact, I think it's going to get a lot worse before it gets better. So Biden is a mortal threat to Hillary. And I think there's that may be a minority view. There are a lot of people I think out there that don't think it's all that serious of a threat, but I do.
Well, you would, just looking at the polls, Hillary Clinton, the enthusiasm level just isn't there for Hillary Clinton. The trust level is not there for Hillary Clinton, and the numbers keep getting worse for Hillary. Even some of her support falling below 50% in some of these early states, and we're still 5 months away from the Iowa caucus. If you're Joe Biden, if you jump in, arguably you're more relatable than Hillary Clinton is, and you don't have a great big FBI investigation going on.
Yeah, and I think there's obviously something happening with Bernie Sanders and his message and the large crowds he's getting, but no one believes he's going to be the nominee of the Democratic Party. Now, I do think there's a chance because of the enthusiasm he's riling up that he could win Iowa or New Hampshire or perhaps even both. And in a way, him getting in actually helps Sanders because I think Biden is more likely to cut into Hillary's support than he is cut into Sanders' support. But again, what I think has happened here is I think Bernie Sanders has revealed weakness in Hillary. Mm-hmm. And you've seen that by the crowd size. You've seen that by his polling. He's actually ahead in New Hampshire over Hillary now. And so, I think he's weakened her, but he's not strong enough to beat her. Biden is strong enough, potentially, to beat her. He's also authentic in a way that Hillary is definitely not authentic. And if you look at the candidates that are succeeding on both sides of the aisle in the 2016 presidential race, it's authentic candidates, Donald Trump, Ben Carson, Carly Fiorina, Bernie Sanders. They all, don't appear to be sort of traditional politicians. They all have a lot of authenticity. They sort of, say exactly what's on their mind. And Biden, I think, although he is a career politician, he does have sort of this Uncle Joe authenticity that I think is very likable.
On Saturday when we learned about this Elizabeth Warren meeting that Joe Biden had, I floated the idea out there that, hey, why not a Biden-Warren ticket? You go ahead and announce right now. Maybe you throw the Clinton campaign off for a loop. The National Journal this morning has basically the same thought process of, okay, well, Biden says he'll serve one term, and then you hand it off to Elizabeth Warren. Is that just way out of left field thinking there, or is that something that, if you're Elizabeth Warren, you said you're not running this time, you're pledging not to run, you haven't necessarily pledged to absolutely run for Senate again, maybe you join forces with Joe Biden?
Yeah, it's certainly something that she could do. I think it's clear that Warren is not comfortable with Hillary. She's resisted endorsing her, and Hillary's message has moved in Warren's direction. Warren is also, I think, in her late 60s. She's at least 65 years old. I think she might be a little older than that. So this is probably her last chance to run for president. Maybe she could run next time for Republican ran. And so the problem for Biden is, he's going to need a vice president that is, if he were to run and win, he's going to need someone that's younger and someone that can also be president, be a possible president of the United States, given his advanced age. And there's even chatter that he may serve only one term. He may take a one-term pledge. So I don't know if Warren fits that bill. Obviously, that would be a very powerful combination with her, enthusiasm on the left and among the netroots. And his sort of establishment credentials as Obama's vice president. I'm not sure it'll happen, but I think it would have tremendous power if it did.
The Dallas Morning News over the weekend had an article about Ted Cruz, and you saw some chatter last week about Ted Cruz and Donald Trump maybe becoming allies and campaigning together. The Cruz camp is, from what I've seen, kind of dismissed that type of talk. But the Dallas Morning News floated the idea that maybe Ted Cruz is, sort of laying the groundwork to go after Donald Trump. Would that be a smart move for Ted Cruz to make right now?
Well, if you say going after in terms of trying to win his voters over, I think that is smart. If you're talking about going negative on Trump, I think that's very unlikely until much, much later in the race. Cruz has really resisted saying anything negative at all about Trump, even as all these controversies have threatened Trump's rise. Cruz has been sort of the sole positive reinforcer of the Trump candidacy, and I think he's done that for strategic reasons as much as anything else. There was a story in the Daily Beast a few weeks ago that said that Cruz actually invited Trump down to the southern border when he took that southern border trip, that they were actually going to tour the border together, but Senate business kept him in D.C. at that time. So, yes, look, there's definitely something happening behind the scenes between the two candidates. Between these two candidates, I think their teams are staying in close, contact, and they're coordinating. And Trump has said nice things about Cruz, which of course Cruz has done also. So there's some strategy involved here, but I think Cruz is probably unlikely to do anything attacking Trump for quite a while. But I do think Trump's success is hurting Cruz. Mm-hmm. It's putting a sort of a ceiling on Cruz in Iowa where he needs to succeed. And right now, look, Trump is a real threat to win Iowa based on where we sit today, as amazing as that is.
Visiting with Matt Mackowiak, a Republican political strategist, also co-founder of mustreadtexas.com. Matt, what can folks find on your website this morning?
Yeah, Cruz is on Face the Nation over the weekend. We've got that video link up. And obviously all the other 2016 news about Cruz and Perry. You can find it all at mustreadtexas.com.
All right, Matt Mackowiak, as always, appreciate your time today, and we'll visit with you down the road.
Sounds good. Have a great week. Take care.
All right, you too. That's Matt Mackowiak. Follow him on Twitter at Matt Mackowiak.